This is the Agentic Executive. Today's briefing focuses on a key insight you can use to increase clarity, leverage, and decision-making power. Imagine you give a recommender agent a goal to maximize engagement, and overnight, it surfaces clickbait and misleading summaries that erode trust. Metrics spike, retention slides next month, and your brand takes a hit. That's not hypothetical. It's a pattern when objectives are fuzzy and constraints are implicit.
What you'll get in the next 10 minutes. One core insight, the one-page Agentic Contract. 3 supporting points that make the contract operational, and a 10-minute fill-in template you can use to pilot a contract this week.
Core insight. A compact one-page Agentic Contract converts strategic outcomes into auditable operational boundaries. It maps the objective and primary metric, the permitted action space, constraints and soft constraints, rollback triggers, and ownership and observability into a single artifact. The contract preserves optionality because it's short, reviewable, and versioned. It preserves knowledge capital because it encodes tacit judgment, your trade-offs, where systems and humans can read them. Think of it as a spec and a kill switch in one short page. Precise enough to guide automated execution, light enough to iterate.
Why does compactness matter? Long operating manuals are never read in the moment of failure. The one-pager forces discipline. Pick one primary outcome that represents economic value, list 2 secondary checks, and name a single owner responsible for decisions and rollback. That constraint creates decision friction in the right places, so agents have autonomy where useful, and humans retain veto power where the costs of error are high.
Supporting point 1. Outcome specification. Choose a primary metric that aligns with economic value, not a fragile proxy. If the business value is sustainable subscriptions, the primary metric might be net revenue per user over 30 days, not instant clicks. Always pair that with at least 2 secondary metrics that detect gaming. Examples: product trust score, support tickets per 1,000 users, and variance in conversion by cohort. Secondary metrics are anti-gaming checks. They do not replace the primary metric, they gate it. If the primary improves while secondary checks deteriorate, that triggers an investigation or rollback. This pairing reduces the chance that an agent optimizes a surface proxy at the expense of durable value.
A practical tip. Prefer aggregative metrics that reflect economic flows, revenue, retention, cost of acquisition adjusted for quality, over raw engagement counts. And explicitly define the measurement window and sampling method in the contract so there's no ambiguity around when success is assessed.
Supporting point 2. Action space and constraints. The contract must state clearly what the agent may do, what it must never do, and where soft constraints apply. Hard constraints are black and white. No direct external payments, no account deletion without human approval, never alter legal text. Soft constraints are cost-aware bounds. Avoid contacting users more than X times per week. Prefer templates from a curated library. Keep experimentation rate below Y% of traffic. Soft constraints should include an explicit cost function. If the agent's action increases operational cost beyond threshold, throttle or revert. That prevents invisible runaway costs.
Also include rules about exploration versus exploitation. If the agent experiments, require an initial low-impact sandbox and a statistical power condition before scaling. The contract should specify the maximum simultaneous experiments and the minimum detectable effect for rollout decisions. Those are operational levers that stop curiosity from becoming catastrophe.
Supporting point 3. Observability, ownership, and rollback. Observability is lightweight telemetry tied to the contract fields. Primary metric, the 2 secondaries, a small set of feature-level signals, and a trace of decisions, what triggered the action and why. Decision provenance matters. If an agent made a content change, the log should show the input prompt, the model version, the confidence score, and the human owner. Ownership. Name a single decision owner and a backup. That owner is responsible for rapid review and rollback decisions.
Rollback rules must be specific, numerical thresholds that trigger an automated pause, plus an explicit human-in-the-loop protocol.
For example, if the primary metric shifts negatively by more than 3% over a 7-day rolling window, while a secondary metric degrades by more than 5%, the agent enters pause and notify mode. Notification must include the minimal provenance payload needed for triage. These clear triggers shorten mean time to recover and preserve optionality.
I'll add one operational heuristic. Treat the contract like a living API. Version it, include a sunset clause, and require a 3-week review after any significant model or data change. That prevents overfitting the contract to a transient dataset.
Good point. Now the action step, a 10-minute fill-in template you can use right now. I'll give 5 fields. Take a pen or open a doc and fill them in. Field 1, objective and primary metric, 1 sentence and 1 metric with measurement window. Field 2, 2 secondary metrics, brief rationale for each. Field 3, permitted action space, list allowed operations and 2 hard never statements. Field 4, constraints, soft limits and cost function thresholds. Field 5, observability and rollback, required telemetry fields, decision provenance items, owner and backup, and explicit rollback thresholds.
Where to pilot it. Pick a contained use case with measurable economic value and low external risk. An email subject line optimization, a recommendation surface for logged-in users, or an internal automation that routes tickets. Keep initial traffic or budget exposure small. Run the contract for 2 weeks, monitor the 3 metrics, and hold a 5-minute daily stand-up focused only on contract signals. That cadence is enough to catch early divergence without wasting leadership time.
A 10-minute sprint checklist. 1. Fill the 5 fields. 2. Assign the owner. 3. Set telemetry hooks and a daily alert for the primary and secondaries. 4. Run a quick red team on incentives for 5 minutes. Ask how the agent could game the contract. 5. Launch at low exposure. If any red team scenario is credible, add a hard constraint or lower exposure.
Recap. The 1-page Agentic Contract gives you a compact operational artifact that preserves optionality, encodes tacit judgment into knowledge capital, and shortens feedback loops. It reduces metric gaming by pairing primary outcomes with secondary checks, accelerates safe delegation through clear action spaces, and converts judgment into composable artifacts by naming ownership, telemetry, and rollback. Quick validation checklist for a pilot. Clear primary metric, 2 secondaries, explicit hard constraints, an owner named, telemetry wired, and a rollback threshold.
If this briefing was useful, subscribe to the Agentic Executive to get daily, concise briefings that keep strategy tight and execution aligned. Stay focused, iterate the contract, and pilot small. Subscribe now to keep getting this feed. Stay agentic. You've been listening to the Agentic Executive. Apply what you learned today and make your next move count.